Okay guys, so we're going to do some video lessons on this next unit, okay? Just to try and help you go through the slides and talk you through any tasks and activities that are in them. So the next unit that we're going to look at is the Scottish Dietary Goals, okay? So this is something that you'll look at next year in S3 if you pick the subject, but in general it's good knowledge and good information for you to have. So what you're going to learn in this unit is we're going to learn how to achieve the 8 Scottish Dietary Goals. So there's 8 different goals. What the benefits to health of meeting those goals are, so why do we want to actually do it, why is it good for our health, and how to adapt recipes to meet those goals. Okay, so today is a bit of an introduction. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is recap your knowledge from the Eat Well Guide and food and nutrients topics. That's because that information is all going to interlink with the Scottish Dietary Goals. We're going to then identify dietary diseases and conditions that can affect your health. And we need to be able to successfully state the 8 Scottish Dietary Goals, so whether they increase or decrease for each of the goals. Okay. So your first task, your lesson starter, you're going to make a list of 10 food and drinks that are popular in the Scottish diet. So think about things that you like to eat. So these are all examples down the bottom here. But all we want you to get doing is thinking about the Scottish diet and what kind of foods you think are popular. Okay, and then you're going to reflect on that shortly. So if we look at this box, for example, this is a crunchy box. Okay, it's from local takeaways. I'm sure everybody has a local takeaway that does something similar to this. Lots of fried foods, full sugar drinks, etc. Yes, it's meant to be a treat, but when you look at it, guys, yeah, we're not going to eat that yourself. You're going to split that with at least one other person, hopefully 2 or 3 people. But in that one box is 7,000 calories, guys. So if you're only meant to be having 1,500 to 2,000 calories, that's over 3 times the amount that you're meant to be having per day just in this one meal. Okay, so even if you are splitting it with 2 or 3 other people, you're almost having your whole daily intake just from this one meal. Okay, and unfortunately in the Scottish diet, stuff like this is quite common. Okay, so this is where we're kind of looking at the Scottish Dietary Goals. Why do we need them? And that's because our diet is the second major cause of poor health in Scotland. The only thing that goes in front of that is smoking and drinking alcohol. So it's a huge factor in the poor health in Scotland. We're notorious for having a high rate of obesity. Okay, so in our diet, naturally, we have too many foods and drinks that are high in fat, sugar and salt. So things like your takeaways, your McDonald's, Burger King, etc. And just in general, we have far too much fat, sugar and salt. So what that is going to lead to, guys, is increases in things like heart disease, obesity, obviously. It can actually increase your risk of cancer. You can develop diabetes, you can get stroke, you get osteoporosis, all of these dietary conditions and diseases that we've already looked at before. Obesity and our poor diet increase the risk of all of these. Okay, so we need to look into our diet and how we're going to improve it to prevent things like this from happening. Okay, so this is just a wee statistics slide. Okay, it's quite old, it's 2016. We're waiting on updated information in the next year or so, but it just puts things into perspective, guys. So 2/3 of adults in Scotland are deemed overweight. So that can be a couple of extra stone, it could be a wee bit more, but they're almost 2/3 of the adult population are overweight. Even more worrying is that nearly 30% are deemed obese. Now that's when things are getting really dangerous for your health when you're obese. Okay, so it's quite frightening in terms of statistics how many people are actually obese in this country. So how can obesity harm your health? Okay, it can affect you in all these different ways, guys. Obviously there's the ones that you know, things like heart disease. Okay, increases risk of cancer. It can increase your risk of liver disease, reproductive complications. Okay, if you, as you're older and you're looking to have children, if you're obese, then it can have massive implications on whether you're able to carry a child. Osteoarthritis. Okay, so back pain. You can develop type 2 diabetes. You're more likely to have asthma because of the pressure on your chest. Sleep apnea. It can affect how much you sleep. You can increase the risk of stroke. And little things, guys, depression and anxiety. A lot of people don't think of this one, but if you're obese, you're more likely to be depressed or have anxiety. Okay, so many things that anxiety can cause in terms of relation to your health. And this slide here is a big information slide that Cancer UK released. Being overweight, so this isn't even obesity, guys, this is just being overweight, can cause 13 types of cancer, okay? And you've got all these different sizes of circles. The larger the circle, and the higher the risk if you're overweight or obese, okay? So things like breast cancer and bowel cancer are huge increases. Some of the slightly smaller ones there, guys, but it's still an increased risk, okay? So you need to make sure that you're not overweight, you're not obese, otherwise it's going to massively increase your risk of developing cancers. So how can we actually prevent these diseases and improve our diets? Okay, so we want to try and follow the Eat Well guide to have a more balanced diet. So that's something that we've already looked at. Ensure you get the correct nutrients that your body needs and aim to achieve the 8 dietary goals. Okay, so they're all interlinked: Eat Well guide, your nutrients, and the Scottish Dietary Goals. So we're just going to have a quick recap of the Eat Well guide. Okay, so here's your Eat Well guide. You've seen it plenty of times, guys. You covered it last year. It's just going to be a quick recap of this, okay? So key messages from our fruit and vegetable section was that you need to have at least five portions of fruit and vegetables a day. Why do we need them? Main one was our vitamins and minerals to protect against disease, but also benefits. You've got fibre to digest your food and water to stay hydrated. Our starchy foods, again, a third of our diet was going to be starchy foods. So the body needs these because they provide carbohydrates for your energy and fibre, again, to help digest food and help prevent constipation, particularly your whole grain and wholemeal foods. Remember that one, guys. Beans, pulses, fish, eggs and meats, okay, aka your proteins. These ones, slightly smaller section, but remember your main points was that you're going to get protein to help the body grow and repair, and you've got minerals, for example iron, to help fight against disease and develop healthy blood. Okay. Dairy and alternatives, even smaller section. Again, you're getting protein from here, so to help you grow and repair. And your main one from your dairy and alternatives was calcium, and that was to develop your strong bones and teeth. Oils and spreads, that was the smallest section, very, very small amounts, because you do need some, but only very small amounts. So you need some oils and spreads because they provide unsaturated fat. So please remember that, guys, it's not the saturated fat you want, it's the unsaturated fat. So that was from oils and spreads, so things like your margarine, vegetable oil, etc. And you need those to keep your body warm, to give you a little extra bit of energy, and to provide you with a layer of protection, okay, in terms of the body fat. Okay. So what happens when you have too much sugar? Just a recap of that. Diets high in sugary foods can lead to serious health problems such as tooth decay. So you end up with the sugar building up, build up a plaque on your tooth, leading to the tooth decay. Obesity, so any extra sugar, all the extra calories are then turned into fat. And diabetes, you can develop type 2 diabetes later in life if you have a high sugar diet. Okay. Too much saturated fat, so remember this one's the bad fat. You can develop coronary heart disease, which causes blockages in your arteries, increases your risk of heart attack and stroke. And obviously it can cause obesity as the extra fat is stored in the body. Okay. Last one on that one was too much salt. Okay, so if you had too much salt in your diet, it could cause high blood pressure, which raises the risk of developing coronary heart disease and having a heart attack. And then obviously linked to that as well is the risk of stroke. Okay, so make sure you're not having too much salt either. So that was just a recap, guys, of the Eat Well guide and the key points from that. Okay, so your task 2 here, guys, this has all the Scottish Dietary Goals on them in relation to the different areas that we're going to look at. So you've got fruit and vegetables, saturated fat, salt, red and processed meat, sugar, fibre, calories and oily fish. So for this task, all you need to do is decide for each one of these, do you think we should be eating more of it, or do you think we should be eating less of it? Okay, so it shouldn't take you long, just put each one of those in a box, whether you think we need to eat more or whether we need to eat less. Okay. So if we have a quick look at the answers to that one, guys, okay, because this will give us our 8 Scottish Dietary Goals. If we're looking at increase intake, we want to increase the amount of fruit and vegetables we have, because we don't get enough of those. We need to increase the amount of fibre we have, because again, not getting enough of that. And we need to increase the amount of oily fish we get. In terms of reducing, we need to reduce quite a few. We need to reduce how much salt, saturated fat, sugar, calories, and red and processed meat. Okay, so there's a lot more on the reduced side than there is on the increased side. Okay, so we need to make sure that we're getting a good balanced diet. So we need to do increase certain foods and reduce certain foods. Okay, so you'll see this quite a lot in the next few slides, guys. This is just a summary of all the different goals. Okay, so there's our increases: increase fruit and vegetables, increase oily fish, and increase fibre. And then we've got the rest of them are reduce red meat, reduce saturated fat, reduce salt, reduce sugar, and reduce calories. Okay. So task 3, if you get the chance, guys, it's on Teams. There is a quick quiz just to go over which ones are increase and decrease. Okay, it's a nice, easy, quick quiz if you get the chance to do that. And then your final task for this introductory lesson, guys, is you need to identify which dietary factor, so too much or too little of something, could cause the following health problems. And please be specific here, guys, okay? And so, for example, if we look at tooth decay, you need to tell me what causes tooth decay. Is it too much of something or is it too little of something? Or it could technically be both. So tooth decay is quite a funny one. It could be both. Tooth decay can be caused by too much sugar, or it can also be caused by too little calcium. Okay, so for each one of these dietary diseases, you're going to tell me, is it too much of something, and tell me what that something is, or too little of something. Okay, so you've got coronary heart disease, tooth decay, obesity, constipation, osteoporosis, anemia, type 2 diabetes, and high blood pressure. Okay, so just tell me too much or too little of whatever it is leads to this health problem. Okay, so that is the first just introduction, guys. It's a nice quick go through of just recapping what you already know and covering the 8 Scottish Dietary Goals. So what we'll go forward with next, guys, is each week we'll just look at a new goal and how we need to meet that and how we can adjust our diets to meet it. Okay,